Today is Sunday, New Year's Eve 2017. This is Celtics Beat on the CLNS Media Network. And for the final time, I am Larry H. Russell. It was fitting the day after Christmas, I just nonchalantly checked the standings on the ESPN website, and I get a 404 error just splash right in my face. So it's just keep away. Anyways, it's tradition unlike any other, it seems. Title-contending Celtics teams just going through the motions around every single Christmas. So these guys, a little bit earlier than the Garnett years, but no worries, right? There's nothing wrong with the Celtics. Where'd that ball movement go? Where'd this gigantic influx of bad pick-and-roll offense come from? The historic defense, Lord knows what happened with it. But, Mr. Gelso, what is wrong with the Celtics?
Mr. Russell, it's good to be on, man. I would say, honestly, it's exhaustion. The schedule has really been grueling. I mean, I know the reporters have been exhausted. The players, dude, they're just beat. And I know you don't want to be – no excuse team. You don't want to make excuses. But at the same time, when you have players in and out of the lineup with injuries, no time to practice whatsoever. And I can attest to the fact there have been zero practices. Then I add exhaustion on top of that. What goes first? Communication on defense, ball movement, you're short rimming everything, your rotations are messed up, communication on defense. These are all rebounding. These are all the areas you're seeing the Celtics struggle right now. And I mean, not to say I'm blaming it fully on rest, but I think this London trip has really put the Celtics in a situation where they have to play a ton of games in a short schedule.
Yeah, that actually may have helped them getting that week off. At the end of the day, a trip to London's just like a trip to the West Coast.
To Rome.
Except it's going the other way.
Right.
But you know what? Can't make this episode about that. We have to save it for the next host because he's going to have plenty of airtime to fill. As I know, as I've known for the last 4.5 years, when you're doing shows in the dog days of January, February, and March, there's only so many times you get to hit the topic. So I like to leave that for the next host. The national search is on for the new host. Do we have any updates there?
LHR, if there were updates, I don't believe I'd share them with you right now, and that is my best Danny Ainge impersonation.
Well, you have to drive everyone on the new website.
Hey, listen,
Stay tuned to the new website.
CLNSmedia.com for sure.
Evan has done a tremendous job. I almost feel bad calling him filling in.
Well, and I don't know, and it may be Evan. You don't know. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's proven that he could do it. Your shoes, though, man. No one's going to be filling your shoes, Larry.
No one fills my shoes. I wear Vibram 5 fingers, and they get made fun of by everyone all the time. So no one's going to wear those.
I could attest to that. And, I've got to say it. The last 5 years, 4.5 years working with you on this podcast, getting my name read in the credits, which I never asked for, so thank you for doing that. Amongst all these thousands of people who listen every week has been a true pleasure and a learning experience. And I think you could probably say good luck to the next host who has to work with me as their producer.
Well, I'll tell you, the broadcast is in very good hands. First off, most importantly, we're just talking about the dog days. They got a contending team to talk about. Is that an accurate statement? Are these Celtics, can we officially call them contenders?
Yes.
Because
contenders for what? The title?
Yeah.
The big deal? I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, I don't think they could beat the Warriors, but I do believe we are going to see the Celtics, maybe not of the 16-game win streak, but some incarnation of that team come back in the second half of the season, and I do believe they could beat Cleveland.
Well, I tell you what, in the Larry H. Russell era of Celtics Beat, it's actually interesting. This show, or at least in the time that I've hosted, it's sort of sandwiched between the waning contending years of Garnett and then the actual full rebuilding. And now finally they have the team where, okay, they're probably not going to win the championship this year, but I would still put them in the contender category. They definitely qualify as a dark horse contender, whereas, I mean, even last year's team was not. That was still probably the back end of the rebuilding. But I'll tell you this. I'll put a guarantee. The Celtics will win a championship with this group. I'll say that.
I could say that too.
So this show is, I mean, it's the next host is going to have a contending Celtics team.
Larry, if not several.
Several championships.
Yeah, if not several.
Well, I won't.
No, not several. Wait a minute.
Okay, I won't guarantee several championships. I also will not guarantee several Celtics Beat hosts in the next few years. But I do think they're going to win a championship with this group. Gordon Hayward, hopefully a part of it. I expect to be a part of it.
Yep.
But it makes me really reminisce too, because back when we started this show, and I know whenever you tell the story of that, like when
we both have opposing.
Oh, for goodness sakes! It's the Book of Genesis. I mean, in the beginning there was man, and I'm sitting there like, come on, man. But when I started the show, I'll tell you that the primary driving motivation was because back then, 2012, Celtics still very good team. Like I said, waning years of the Garnett years.
Was that 2012 Eastern Conference Finals 2012 or 2012-13
the
first round bow?
Jason Terry, the season we were all excited about at the very beginning of the year. It turned into a very flat, boring season.
Yeah.
Excruciatingly boring season. But still enough to at least talk about them, because remember, back then, we live, here we are, last day of 2017, we go into 2018. You are aware there's like 10 million Celtics podcasts out there, right? You're aware of that, right, Nick?
Oh man, am I aware of it? I mean, we bought half of them. I mean, no, seriously, I am aware of it. There was one when I started,
and now that's exactly. 100. And there's one when you started in 2012, 2013. That was Celtic Stuff Live. They were out by that. They took a little bit of a hiatus.
They were on hiatus.
They came back with the
Empire.
Where they came back with the Empire, and. Back then, there was the Celtics worldwide fan base. You think, hey, number 4 team in Boston, but one of the most famous franchises in North American professional sports. And you saw it, internet, you have access to it. We were people clamoring for Celtics talk. And I finally said, why don't we just do this ourselves? We're going to do it 100 million times better than those bird brains do on the local talk radio. That was the primary driving motivation for starting Celtics Beat in 2012.
Right. Yeah, well, we both have slightly different versions of the story, but I'll stick with yours today. This is Larry H. Russell Day here on CLNS Media, so I could do that.
Well, the best part was actually taking over. We started the show, but actually taking over as host wasn't as some sort of grand entrance or grand triumph. It was primarily, we were talking about bad Celtics years. You had Adam Kaufman here last week, and he was talking about how hard hosting Celtics at 7 was with the first year of Brad Stevens. Taking over as host, myself, was done primarily out of no one wanted to talk about the Celtics.
Adam had the good fortune of callers who, as we know from the postgame show, they could be very distracting, but they could also fill a lot of time. You filled a lot of time with Hot Air, American Farmers Network, vitamins. I don't even know, picking on Jared Sullinger's trainers, just whatever would really rile up fans, but also give them insightful information.
Jeff Green was a punching bag back in.
Oh man, that was fun. But here's the thing, Larry, and I think I could say this now. I had somewhat of a hand in creating this LHR character, which has been a lot of fun, and I'm just really, really thrilled and excited about the next phase of your development within CLNS Media. Of course, you're still going to have a hand into Celtics Beat. It's been your baby for 4.5 years, and you're the executive producer. But to be able to work with you on more consulting type projects and business administration type stuff is very exciting for me because I've had little to no support besides Sean Backey over the years, and so this is in a 2018 tomorrow. Happy New Year is going to be a great year. It really is. I'm looking forward to it.
I was thinking of 2016, last December at this time. So this is the December of 2017. I remember we were talking to, right after Christmas, you were saying, I can't wait to 2018. I remember we were talking to Sam Vecini, Derek Bodner, all at this time. And it was the best part were their answers of, it was the same thing. It was either immediately they said, sure, we'd love to join CLNS, or eventually they said, sure, we'd love to to join. But I mean, what a year 2017 was for CLNS. What a year 2017 was for the Celtics. First, did you know that this is? We were just talking about how the Celtics were the quote unquote number 4 team in Boston. That is now sort of just becoming like a mainstream type storyline. We all know everything's digital. I mean, if you ran a poll on, say, one of the local newspapers here, the general, person in the poll, no offense, is probably a 60 or 70-year-old, but the number one Google search term in Boston for 2017, guess the one word.
Kyrie.
Celtics.
Nice. No, same thing at this point. That's just great. That's great. I mean, it goes to show, and I think we've been, especially living on a market for, majority of the years we've been in business, I've always been one to say, Celtics dominate. I mean, they've always been competitive, and their rebuild, most recent rebuild was so fast.
They own social.
They own
digital, as we know.
Yeah, I mean, they own digital, and so to me, it was always shocking to hear you guys say they're number 4 in the city until moving up full time, and then getting a bit of a taste of terrestrial outlets. Boy, the Celtics do get abused. So, and thank God they do, Larry, because that gives us a real home in Celtics fans. They're watching or viewing or listening schedules, and so terrestrial outlets up in Boston keep talking about everybody but the Celtics, and we'll make sure to focus on that team here, because that's been our MO since day one, 2009, and though we've expanded exponentially, the Celtics, I think there's always a slight bias.
Yeah, you do love one of the favorite PR tags that I gave. You still love it. CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage for the Boston Celtics.
That and the bullshit, so you could beep that out.
I am so jealous of the next host of Celtics Beat in 2018 and beyond, who gets to endorse eHarmony. That was the one thing you were dying to hear me to do, eHarmony endorsements.
Well, and you're keeping me on the phone for this.
We're going to get this one in. So I'll do a Larry H. Russell eHarmony endorsement. If you're trying online dating, chances are you've run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and random matches that don't turn into dates. You can't get to know someone by just looking at their picture. You look at my picture on Twitter, you would think I'm this unbelievable, really generous, great going.
The opposite of LHR.
Do anything that what it takes. Let's go to the read. Okay. eHarmony is unlike many other online dating sites. eHarmony takes steps that other dating sites don't do in order to find you a more compatible match. They are built to help you find lasting, meaningful relationships, not a shallow hookup site. They have helped over 1 million people find their perfect match. Right now, my listeners can get a free month with eHarmony when they sign up for a 3-month subscription. Enter my code CelticsBeat at checkout. Won't be my code too long. Stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there is one app that's built to bring you real love, eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. Enter my code CelticsBeat at checkout. eHarmony.com. Enter code CelticsBeat at checkout.
Larry, before I sign out here, Larry, I just want to say Happy New Year to the listeners of this show. Like I said, 2018 is going to be a great year. You can expect more Celtics Beat. We are speaking to a hell of a lot of interested candidates, and some may actually shock you to find out, and maybe someday that'll come out. But either way, at this point, the format, of course, the new host is going to have a say in the creative aspects of this show, but the format and the foundation was built by you, Larry. And as long as you're with this company and I'm with this company, that will remain the same. So the listeners can expect more of the same amazing guests and maybe a little bit less pompous of a host, depending on who we bring on.
Yeah, you never know.
But either way, Larry, you'll always have a footprint on this show, and listeners can be guaranteed that you'll have a say into this show's future. So thank you all. Thanks to our sponsors and to the listeners, and thanks especially to you, Larry H. Russell.
Well, I have to give my thanks as well, of course, to you for just giving me a platform, and then, of course, said platform has led now to a lot of different things at CLNS, a lot, and we're looking forward to we're going to have some fun working on behalf of the Empire in 2018 and beyond. But I do have a rundown. Most importantly, of course, listeners, I would have lost interest real quick hosting this show if there were not people listening, but people caring. Nicola, the Italian team, that reach out on Facebook, Twitter, all sorts of means. Speaking of Facebook, Mr. Ricketts and the great Aussie fan base, Mick Conlon, Russell Guest. I mean, he's a diehard podcast fan going all the way back with the Celtic Stuff Live guys. E-Man, Mr. Ayers and his great Facebook group with many in there, Jason. Celtics Canada, Samu. I mean, there's just so many names. I can't, really run them down. I have to give one shout-out. You're talking about the Larry H. Russell character. There was one person who was called me by a real name on this broadcast, and there was a reason for it. There's a reason why we let him do it. But I would say the most important person of Celtics Beat, maybe more important than you. Hate to say it, more important than me. It's Brent Barry. I mean, he was the one who got everything. I really don't want to thank him too much because now everyone's going to start haggling Brent Barry for favors. He'll say, hey, Bo, you did it for this jackass. What on me?
Well, it's just, it's funny because Brent wasn't making media appearances at that point. He had just started with NBA TV, I believe.
Yep.
And you brought Brent on.
No one was doing podcasts back then. I mean, that was an affront to ask anybody to do a podcast.
You mostly got back, what's that? How do you listen? I mean, but Brent came on, and I think part of it, and you saw it with guys like Forsberg in particular, when you'd be on with Justin Poole and Coach Nick, there were certain guests that Bob Ryan, that immediately right out of the gates you clicked with. Obviously, a relationship with John helped there, or with Brent helped there, but it also is just a matter of understand. There's always someone that clicks, and that was as big as Brent was, and he was entering, broadcasting more and more and more back then, getting known for being, outside of being a great ball player, he impacted the show really jump-started the show because of the chemistry you had with him. And another guy I mentioned earlier is Chris Forsberg. I mean, I know Chris well, obviously working alongside him, but there were very few Celtics Beat shows, and we've had great guests from Whit Grossbeck to, Brent Barry, John Barry, to all of them, right?
And a lot of that was Bones. Like I said, I don't want to go too much into the details, or else everyone's going to be haggling the poor guy the way I did. But a lot. I mean, it was all. Yeah.
But I got to throw it too. I mean, Forsberg and you, those were my favorite, and I am a fan of the show. I mean, I've told you that for years. Those were my favorite episodes because you and Chris. It sounded like two smartasses sitting on a couch watching a game, having a couple beers, and just BSing. And that's really the epitome and what podcast is and should be. So you did it well, buddy. I'm out of here. Good luck in 2018, and I'll see you in the office.
Well, if he's out, I'm out too. No real sense going on a farewell edition to keep these brief in podcast senses. But one more time, thank you so much to everyone who listens, who has listened, going all the way back, like I said, to 2012 when we first launched this show. I took over as host in 2013, almost by default. No one wanted to host my show and talk about a lousy Celtics team, so I had to step in and host my show. The show existed before me. It is going to exist without me. I can't wait. And this experience has turned out to be one of the more fortuitous and fruitful opportunities in my life. I can't wait with all the endeavors that we have, that I even have going at CLNS 2018. It is going to be a great year for the network. If anyone wants to continue to interact with myself, my Twitter is at CLNS_EP. Of course, as the executive producer of CLNS Media, that Twitter is flooded with press releases and all sorts of CLNS propaganda, so I don't blame you if you don't think I'm worthy of a follow. But I am so heartened to those who do, who would love to continue to talk Celtics. I'm not going to have many opportunities now to do that, especially now. I will no longer grace this space. So for episode number 243 of Celtics Beat, my final, to the script, music was provided by Chuck Dietz and Steph Legretto. For graphic designer Scott Dillon, CLNS CEO and guest Nick Gelso, I'm Larry H. Russell, signing off for Celtics Beat, powered by the CLNS Media Network.